order at 9:03. Catherine, would you please take attendance?
Yep. Mary,
Present.
Joanne,
Catherine wasn't here when Richard explained. Joanne won't be attending today.
oh, okay. Catherine here, Richard,
Here.
Loretta,
Here.
Bill,
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
Wait, is that it, I think?
Okay. First of all, Bill, you had a request? For
Well, I
Joanne
just,
Tucker?
It was, as Richard explained, Joanne is not able to be here today because her mother is very ill. And although it's not politically correct, I think maybe I'd want to take a moment and everybody can reflect a little bit and maybe offer in their own way a prayer for Joanne and her mother. And her family. When you're ready, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
First of all, I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded. And the other items that I want to lay out how we're going to do this. We will strictly follow Robert's Rules of Order during the meeting. Trustees will have an opportunity to comment on the evaluation in the following order. And the first item on the agenda is the evaluation of the director. Comments will be in the following order: Mary, Catherine, Richard, Loretta, Bill, Carol, and then Bonnie will have an opportunity to make a statement. Each trustee will be able to speak for 3 minutes, and once someone has the floor, no one else will be allowed to comment. Comments must be relative to the document, and if there is a deviation from that directive, the person speaking will be muted. At the end of the comments, there will be a motion to accept the evaluation. Any further comments at that point must be on the motion and not the evaluation. The other two matters on the agenda will follow the same format. First of all, we are not going to read the evaluation. It will be at the HR department when it's done. It's fairly lengthy. So we will begin. Any questions from the trustees about that format? It was emailed to everyone yesterday. Richard.
The idea that the evaluation will be based on 6 goals put out by the director only.
That's per the contract. We can't do anything about it. Next contract can be negotiated and other things can be added. We're just following the contract.
Madam Chairman,
We're not
Richard has the
following the-
floor.
Sorry.
Richard
not
has
following
the
the-
floor.
Yep.
We're not following the MBLC rule of evaluating the directors.
It's not a rule, it's a suggestion.
Well, to restrict the evaluation to these 6 goals is not an evaluation. It's something controlled without comment from trustees on the evaluation of the director. In other words, nothing else is sacred or nothing else is possible to comment except for these 6 goals that she set out.
No, we set out.
If you recall, back in September, October, November, I asked, when are we going to do an evaluation? We couldn't do it then for this reason, that reason, and this reason. Then all of a sudden, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we're going to do an evaluation. That meeting lasted for 15 minutes. And then we're restricted to evaluating 6 goals that the director put out a year and a half ago by her.
Okay, I'm going to call point of order because this has been already discussed and we need to move on and
I wasn't
discuss.
part of that discussion.
Yeah, Madam Chairman,
Yes. Bill.
Richard has the floor, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
This was dictated at the meeting we had a week and a half ago. You're restricting a true evaluation of the director. is I wrote in my comments, which I sent to you last Wednesday. And not to address those at the open meeting, which is the open meeting for the evaluation of the director, is a dereliction of duty. I make a motion, we can evaluate the director on other things besides these 6 goals. If Joanne were here, there would be a second to that.
Okay, there is no second, therefore there is no vote on the motion. I think we need to continue. Mary, I will call on you first. To any comments you have about the
Yeah,
evaluation?
I have a few comments. When I was reading the evaluation last night, I wrote down just a few reactions that I wanted to share. First, I want to thank the Personnel Committee because I think they did do a thoughtful and careful work, given the parameters within which they had to work. Bonnie has been serving as a director of the Woburn Public Library during an extraordinarily challenging time, both for the library and the world. The combination of being a new director in a new building already required a great deal. But then on top of that came the pandemic that demanded even more adjustment, an immediate adjustment and adaptation to rapidly changing demands. The evaluation of the Personnel Committee clearly demonstrates that Bonnie has risen to the challenge and that in the midst of all these stresses going on in our world, she has successfully fulfilled the goals that were set for her, the ones that she had reason to believe she would be evaluated on. Based on my own observation, I agree with the assessment of the Personnel Committee. I can't comment on each point, but I want to highlight a few of the themes that stand out for me reading this evaluation. One issue that seems very important to me is the increased use of social media to reach out to library users in the midst of pandemic isolation. This has increased awareness of the wide variety of programs and services that the library offers. Related to this is the expanded library programming that is reaching out to the broadening cultural and language diversity of the cities of Woburn, of the citizens of Woburn. Programs range from offerings for children to seniors, and they reflect a wide variety of interests, as the evaluation notes. Outreach beyond library walls to the community, though difficult in the pandemic, has continued. The partnership with the Senior Center is one example of that. Okay, that was a continuing partnership. That wasn't one that began under Bonnie. The quick response to the pandemic, using the makerspace to print face masks and shields, is another response to the community. And finally, the creative response of the archives to chronicle the experience of Woburnnites today as they experience the pandemic will provide insight for future generations, just as we have accessed the past through the archives. Archives are not only about the past, they should be about the living present. I believe Bonnie has clearly achieved the goals that were set for her in a very different environment on many levels. And that's my reaction to your evaluation. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mary. Catherine.
Wow, I have to follow that. That was great, Mary. I want to thank Carol for working really hard and the Personnel Committee for putting this together. I echo everything Mary said, and I don't think I could say it any better. But I also want to thank Bonnie and her team for working extremely hard during this time, during the pandemic. On the points of the evaluation, I reviewed them, and I think that they accurately sum up how Bonnie has completed her work and outshone everything that has been asked of her. So thank you, Bonnie. That's all.
Okay, Richard.
I think I can't comment on the goals that Bonnie set out or her those, although I understand the approval of Mary and Catherine, and I don't disagree with any of those. However, besides those goals, there's been problems at the library for ever since Bonnie correctly closed the library on March the 6th and sent the staff went home.
Richard, I have said you will be muted if you don't address the evaluation as written, and you will be muted.
Well, I disagree with
Madam Chairman, point of order,
Yeah.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
I would move that the muting, Richard be unmuted. I think he has a right to say what he
Okay.
wants to say.
Unmute. Please unmute, Richard.
I believe he's unmuted.
No, he's unmuted now.
I'm unmuted now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. As I said, the director of the library has got many constituencies it should report to, or should be, she has to address their needs, et cetera. And those constituencies go from the general public to the trustees, to the patrons, all sorts of groups of people. When the pandemic came on and she closed the library, that was the right thing to do, no question about it. The staff went home, but for the next 5 months, there was no communication between the director and the staff. And at the same time, a municipal publication in the state of Massachusetts out to its mayors, department heads throughout the Commonwealth, they suggested at that time that you keep in touch with staff.
This is approaching we don't want to go here. Okay, Richard?
Okay. Once
All right.
again, I'm not surprised, Carol.
That's fine.
Not surprised,
That's fine.
but it's not a true evaluation.
Well, it's
That's it.
an evaluation that is according to the contract. It is
You
what
said
it is.
you said trustees had 3 minutes.
Yeah, and you've got 1 more minute.
Oh, I do. I thought it was 3 minutes of uninterrupted. So anyways, without communication to the staff, and then the desecration and the cutting up of the circulation desk, just I find fault with those actions
And
taken on behalf of.
you are now saying things that are not verifiable, okay?
What?
To the rest of the trustees.
What, Carol? Was the circulation desk broken up? Is that verifiable?
Circulation desk is on wheels.
Point of
And-
order, Madam Chairman. This
Yes.
is not the time to get into an argument.
You're right.
Good luck with that. So I'm very I know Bonnie's got many talents, et cetera, and I'm not disagreeing with those things. But there's other constituencies that are supposed to be served, and we have all sorts of trouble with the patrons and the
Okay,
staff.
Richard, the timer just went off. Okay,
Thank
I
you.
have a timer set. Okay, thank you. Loretta?
I concur with what Mary said at the very beginning, but I want to thank you, Carol, and Bill for putting in lots and lots of hard work to get this evaluation. I want to again thank Bonnie. I can't believe all the hard work that she has done in the past 2 years since she's taken over. I have read the evaluation. Unfortunately, I do not have it in front of me printed out, but I agree with everything she has done. She came to a beautiful library with all the bells and whistles, and she knew how to run the bells and whistles. Things that she did, I never could imagine being done in the library. I am so thrilled, and talking to people that in my age group, people that I know have been very, very happy with the library. Bonnie, I wish you well, and I'm looking forward to coming back and visiting our beautiful library again. Thank you again, and thank your staff very much. That's it, Carol.
Thank you. Bill?
Let me begin. First of all, apologizing in the past because apparently I've been known to be clicking my pen, and then that clicking has been picked up on social media. So today I'm using a pencil. One of the reasons why I was so eager to allow Richard to speak off track a little bit, because I wanted to speak a little bit off track. I concur with Richard that the evaluation is very limited. That there are obviously other points of interest that could have been, maybe should have been addressed. However, 2 years ago, a contract was negotiated and signed between Director Ralston, the mayor, and President Richard Mahoney. That contract specified clearly what the evaluation would entail. To vary from that today would subject the board to an unfair labor practice, quite frankly. I think the time for reviewing what the evaluation will be in the future is now. I think that the board can begin negotiating with the director to revise and upgrade the next evaluation process. So we are where we are today. If we want to go someplace else, we can go there in the future. But again, this was contracted, negotiated. There would be an unfair labor practice in my mind to deviate from that in the evaluation. And yet, I think it does need to be expanded beyond just the 6 goals in the future. Now, my input in the evaluation, I consider an evaluation not at 1 day or 2 day or 1 week. I began my evaluation 22 months ago. After each meeting, I studied the director's reports. We all had an opportunity to question at the meeting on the reports we were getting. We had the opportunity, and I took it to talk to the director by phone or in person about some of the issues that she raised in the director's report. So, I verified in my own mind what was being presented. I participated in many of the programs at the library to get a feel for what we were being offered. I discussed things with the staff, and it would be amazed how the staff will discuss things one-on-one if they ask the right questions, and we don't necessarily get such a negative reaction. My observations and visits to the library and citizen input. I had an opportunity last year or two to talk to many citizens about what the library was offering. One of the comments that I got from the citizens, I kind of remembered it. And the comment was that in the last 22 months or so, we've brought the library from the 1960s culture into the 21st century. And I think that's noted in the evaluation and in her reports. Before the addition was built, we were operating, we're slowly moving.
Bill, your time's almost up.
Okay, we were moving from a 60s culture into the 21st century, and I think Bonnie can take credit for that.
Okay,
Let the bell ring.
thank you. I want to flesh out a little bit the goals and an example of each. 6 goals have been used to evaluate the performance of Woburn Public Library Director Bonnie Rolston. Briefly, those goals included increasing social media and platform presence. And in the time Bonnie has been with us, we have gone from 2,000 to nearly 6,000 followers on Facebook. That's just one small example. Another goal, increasing library programming. The library presented 1,000 programs in the past year, even in the face of a pandemic. Third, redeveloping library collections. Bonnie instituted BISAC in the library. That means we've gone from the archaic system, the Dewey Decimal System, to a system like a bookstore, so that people are better able to browse and find what they want without going to a librarian and asking for, it's just much more user-friendly. Fourth, integrating physical and digital content. The launch of Rag Rock Gallery, that's the place where today's current information is being housed. The other thing is putting Woburn High School yearbooks online. That's huge for a lot of people. People can now go find their yearbooks online at home. Also, putting historic newspapers online. Instead of having to go to the library to go through microfiche, it's now online. Cultivating public-private sponsorships. I have jaw problems, by the way, and it's acting up. I'm not signaling anyone. Cultivating public-private sponsorships. One example, a mapping project with MIT researchers. Secondly, a major grant proposal to the state for on-demand book delivery. Next and final, increasing professional development opportunities for library staff. Numerous in-house trainings on current technology have been offered, along with educational conferences. In the 2 years since her hiring, and in the face of unwarranted social media attacks, online harassment, and a hostile and threatening work environment, Bonnie has met and clearly exceeded these goals. So I will now turn the floor over to Bonnie for her reaction.
I want to thank the trustees for my evaluation. I know it was raised in the last meeting that it was long overdue, so I'm very glad to see the current leadership take up this matter. I just want to say a sincere thank you to those trustees who've really understood our shared vision for the library. They dedicated their time and efforts when it was most needed. We all understand how difficult this past year has been on a number of levels, the biggest challenge of which has been the pandemic that's taken the lives of nearly 500,000 Americans. I'm immensely proud that we were and remain one of the very few libraries in the state to be fully open to all patrons. I couldn't have met these six goals without such an incredible and dedicated team. Again, I just want to thank the trustees for taking the time to reflect on how much we have achieved in these extraordinary and very difficult times. Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I would move that the Board of Trustees of the Woburn Public Library approve the performance evaluation of Director Bonnie Ralston as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I have a question on the motion.
Yes.
Will the evaluations that we submitted be public part of this record of this meeting? You asked us to mail in our evaluations. I did and Joanne did. We want them included in the record of this meeting.
They did not address the 6 goals. We cannot. According to Bill, it could lead to, and I forget the verbiage, Bill, unfair labor practice.
Okay, so we will send them directly to HR for the city if we're not going to include them in this record.
The question, I guess, the question is raised as to where this evaluation goes. Does it remain in the library, or does it remain with the city of Woburn? We'll talk about the relationship between the library and the city, I think, later on this morning. I don't have an answer to Richard's question. It was submitted to the Personnel Subcommittee to condense into a formal evaluation. So yes, the comments would definitely be part of the record of the Personnel Subcommittee. I can't answer that, the next question, whether or not it's attached. This evaluation is attached to the minutes of this meeting. That's obvious. This evaluation becomes part and is made public the minute we release the minutes. Whether or not all input is, I think that's a question that we probably should ask going forward, in my opinion.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept the evaluation as written?
I make that motion.
Oh, we already made the motion. I need
Yes.
to move the question. Catherine, would you call the roll, please?
Sure. Sorry, I have a list here just so I don't forget everyone. Sorry, Carol,
Yes.
Loretta,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
Mary,
Yes,
Richard,
No, it's incomplete. And
Catherine.
Joanne votes the
Yes.
same way.
Okay, that is 1, 2, 3, 5 to 1. The motion passes. Okay. Second item on the agenda, and I don't have the agenda in front of me, is
legislative issues,
legal issues.
legal issues. I'm sorry, not
Okay.
legislative.
All right, Bill, I will turn the floor over to you.
Okay. I spent the last 3 or 4 weeks trying to, not trying, but reviewing how our involvement with the legal community began. I won't call it an investigation, I'll call it a review, and come up with the following conclusions. There was discussion between the director, individual board members, and the mayor ongoing through the summer and fall relative to what was labeled as slanderous and libelous comments directed to the library director's staff and the board of trustees on social media. With consultation with the mayor, it was determined by the director to engage legal counsel to counteract some of this speech that was out there. At the time, the director expressed to some of the board members that she felt that the cost of legal representation could be covered by either the budget or state aid. Now, the mayor at the time was in full agreement on hiring the legal counsel, as he himself hired private counsel to investigate and protect the interests of the city. Our legal counsel representing the library and the legal counsel for the mayor met on numerous occasions during this time. The results of the efforts, they were able to silence some of the worst offenders. However, surrogates arose from the basement, as sometimes happens. So this whole idea of the initial idea was the idea of the director, with the intent that it would be paid for through operational funds or state aid. We then moved into the fall and the winter, when the attacks on the library as an institution and the Woburn Public Corporation as a 503c entity began. The mayor chose to, at the same time, the mayor chose to attempt to remove board members from the corporation and from the board. We agreed in September that illegal counsel would be engaged, and it was. So at that point, the board took the initiative to engage legal counsel. Prior to that, it had been the director. Now, the results of that legal guidance resulted in the challenge to the Attorney General's decision to declare us a public entity subject to open meeting laws and so forth. Also, was masterfully challenged, by the way, as was the mayor's actions to remove a trustee. As time moved on, the options became on how to pay for these legal services. There was an option of taking the money from the library resources, from the state aid, which would hurt services to children, minorities, seniors, and the citizens of Woburn. Any money taken from that side of the ledger would impact the services that we could provide. The other option was that the trustees pay the bill, pay the legal fees, releasing the burden from the library side of the ledger. So the motion that I am going to make, and will welcome comments that, let me see which motion this is. I'm going to move that the trustees assume responsibility for the legal counsels provided to the director, the staff, and the board of trustees. Move to authorize payments of $19,064.97 to Nutter McClellan Fish LLP, and to authorize payment of $50,625 to Fisher Broyles LLP from available discretionary funds. That's my motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll
Second,
second that.
Okay.
Mary,
Comments? Mary, do you have any comments?
my only comment is that given the public discussion going on, that I think it was essential to engage legal services to help defend the reputation of the library, which was being damaged by this very public discussion of these matters. So I think there was no choice but to do this.
Okay, Catherine? Oh, sorry, Mary.
No, I mean, I think it was very much to defend the reputation of the library. And ultimately, in this discussion with the mayor, that the standalone tradition of the library is a 501c3, which was being raised as an issue.
Okay. Catherine?
I have a question, Carol.
No, you'll get your turn, all right? Yeah, I'm doing the same order again. Catherine?
Again, I agree with Mary. I don't really have much to add on that.
Okay. Richard?
So is the proposal, Bill, that the trustees will pay these bills?
Yes.
So I assume it's the trustees who signed up these lawyers.
Richard has the floor. I don't want to interrupt him until I get to my turn, but I'd answer that question in my time.
Okay. So the trustees, Joanne and I, who were not present at these meetings, are not part of this paying the bill.
Again, I'll respond during my time.
Okay, Richard, anything further?
Well, I'd like clarification that the people who weren't present at those meetings, which were, not appropriate, not within all the rules and guidelines, and we weren't part of making the contract or hiring these people. We won't be part of paying for them. That's all.
Okay. Loretta?
I concur with Mary and Catherine. We go along with what has been done. I agree. And that's it.
Okay. Bill?
Okay, I want to clarify, there were no meetings. The board never met to engage or to contract with any attorneys, so there were no meetings. The director engaged legal services with the full knowledge and approval of the mayor during the summer months in order to address the issues here. Initially, there was communication with individual members separately, no meeting, about the idea of hiring legal services. Again, no meeting, no vote was taken, nothing was illegal. Up until a certain point, it was thought that the library budget would sustain the cost of legal services. As it comes to be, when the question comes now to the point of paying the invoices. The question for the board is, does the board want the library budget side, the library side of the budget, to take money away from services to pay these resources? Or is the board willing to assume responsibility for the legal services that protected the staff, the board of trustees, the board of the corporation? It's a question that, do we want to assume it now? We never authorized other than engaging in September. Do we want to now do it, or do we want to send the invoices back to the library director and tell her to find the money in the budget? The democratic way of doing that is to present a motion. Richard can vote no. He can abstain. He can vote yes. All of us have a chance to vote yes, no, or abstain. That's the way we deal with issues, and that's the way we should. So the motion is there. It can go up or down depending on the wishes of the board. But that's why it's before the board this morning.
Okay,
Read the motion again. Bill,
Okay, I'd move to authorize payment of $19,064.97. I don't understand the 97 cents. Janetta McLean and Fish LLP, and payment of $50,625 to Fisher Broyles LLP from available discretionary funds.
I will second that motion.
okay. Catherine, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Carol,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Loretta,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Catherine, yes. Richard,
No.
okay.
Okay, the motion passes. All right, the last item on the agenda. Bill, what is the last? I don't have the agenda in front of me.
Is communication. The word is communication, but
I'll call you back.
this also is going to entail a vote to expend trustee funds for the payment of communication, or as more commonly known, PR work. Again, I had to go back and talk to quite a few people and to get a handle on exactly what has been happening over the summer. A communication consultant was hired by the director to counteract some of the false information on social media, and the need to keep citizens informed of the available services of the library during the pandemic. There was a need to respond to false posts and lies on social media, and a need to combat the Minuteman Library organization as they try to involve themselves in labor negotiations. No one from the Minuteman Organization Board of Trustees from the cities and towns were aware of the approval of their directors involved in this charade. By the way, I contacted I contacted 5 Board of Trustees in the Minuteman organization asking if they had any inkling as to what their director was doing by signing a letter that was posted in the Woburn Times. Well, anyways, the mayor, by the way, fully supported bringing on the communications specialist, and at one time considered going to the city council for a transfer of funds in order to support this PR or communication consultant. The mayor, again, was fully involved. He met with the communication consultants. Matter of fact, I was in one of those meetings. And again, with the hope that funds could be available through the budget or state support. Now, the option for the motion I will make today, the option for the board is to send this bill back to the library director and ask her to pay it from available resources that again would be taken away from the citizens of Woburn, or the board can assume responsibility for paying for the services as of the consultants. wonder if this is the mayor calling. No. Okay. I'm expecting a communication from the mayor. Either the policeman's going to bring it to my door, the fireman's going to bring it to my door, or maybe the trash guy will bring my letter to the door. But anyways, I'm expecting communication from the mayor today. So again, I'll go back and say that we can decide to send the bill back and ask the director to pay it out of funds that were earmarked for the citizens of Woburn, or the Board of Trustees can use their resources to pay for the services rendered. My motion, therefore, would be the Board of Trustees of the Woburn Public Library authorize the payment of $27,500 to the firm Melwood, MELWOOD Global for services rendered.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, comments. Mary, do you have any comments?
No, I agree. This was a very important hire. Yes.
Okay. Catherine?
I don't have anything to say. Thank you,
Okay.
Bill.
Richard?
I have a question on Melwood. In an earlier meeting, we were told that they paid $5,000, and then Melwood was sending a contract for a year. Are they still engaged?
I would be glad to answer that during my time.
So the question is, are they still engaged? And what did you say the latest bill? The total is 19,000 for Melwood?
No, I don't, Richard, I know that under ordinary circumstances, we might have to go back and forth, but I think that under the rules that Carol established, you'd have an opportunity to say and ask questions, and that I wouldn't interrupt you, and after you finish, I'll try to respond.
Well, number one, we haven't seen the contract supposedly Melwood produced, nor have we seen. I thought you told the total to pay off Melwood was some amount. I just want clarification on that amount. And that's beside the 19,000 and 50,000 for the attorneys. Is that correct?
Bill will answer when it's his time.
Thank you.
Okay. Loretta?
I approve. Yes. Excuse me.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought. Yes, I approve.
Okay. Bill?
Okay, let me, I forgot to mention, and it's on my notes here. Let me make clear that my investigation, my review found that there was no meeting ever that took place to approve $5,000 by the board to spend it on public relations. Contrary to what may have been said at other meetings, there was no legal meeting ever held where the Board of Trustees authorizing the spending of $5,000. There may have been a meeting of the director where it was discussed with some board members, but again, I cannot emphasize enough, there was never a meeting on October 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. October 2nd, by the way, was the mayor quoted that meeting was a Saturday. There was no meeting that Saturday. There was no meeting. There is no contract. No contract was ever written and entered into. Written contract was ever entered by the director with Melwood Global. The $5,000 that has been bandied around is part of my motion of $27,500. That's the total amount invoiced to the Board of Trustees by Melwood Global for services rendered. I don't know, Richard, if this answers your question. I would ask the chair if she would, to give Richard an opportunity to maybe ask another question.
Okay. Richard,
Thank you,
have
Bill.
another question?
Yes. I have a copy of a email that Jan Rabbit sent out to Jay Boyd, Bonnie, etc., dated October the 5th. It was a pleasure to meet with you on Friday and members of our board. I received your contract and begin the process of reviewing it. When you have a chance, would you please email me a copy of the invoice for the initial $5,000 payment the board made to you earlier this year? She describes it as meeting with him on Friday. So I don't think,
let me, if I can respond to what I believe happened. Well, let's put it this way, what my investigation found is that it wasn't on October 4th. Heck, I was having surgery on October 4th. On that Friday, which would have been October 1st, they may have met. I wasn't available. They may have met. A contract may have been produced, but no contract was ever signed. I think Jan, in her memo, may reference it, but to my knowledge and my investigation, no contract was ever signed with Melwood Global. And that's what all I can add at this
Okay.
point.
All right. Final comments. The summer and fall were very scary for us as trustees. We were swamped with emails and anger, and we needed help, a lot of help. And for that reason, that's why we needed to have a PR firm. It was scary. So at that point, I would like to call the question. I have a motion and a second. Catherine, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mary?
No, could Bill read the motion one more time?
Well, I would move that the Board of Trustees of the Woburn Public Library authorize the payment of $27,500 to Melwood Global.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you want me to call roll or do we need a
Please.
second?
I think it's already been.
Okay,
moved.
okay.
I just,
Carol,
Yes.
Loretta,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mary,
yes,
Richard,
No.
Catherine, yes.
The motion carries. I believe that is the agenda as written. Thank you all. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for your input. And the meeting, I need to, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second?
second.
Do we need a roll?
Yes. Roll call?
Carol,
Yes.
Loretta,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Mary,
yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Catherine, yes.
Motion carries.